for joining us. I'm Joy.
And I'm Laura.
And this is The Witches of Letters, a supernatural rewatch podcast.
Buckle up as we dive into season 2, episode 2. Everybody loves a clown, except me.
I was going to say everybody doesn't love a clown, though, do they, Laura? Do
No.
they? Laura was... So this episode we actually got to watch together because Laura visited me. It was everything.
Yay.
It was amazing. But she was like, I expected, of the reactions that I expected her to have, I knew she was going to be shitting a brick. I didn't expect the reactions that I actually got. I did record some of it, but I haven't checked yet. So maybe we'll insert that somewhere. But she was so good.
What did you think I was gonna?
I thought you were gonna scream and throw pillows and stuff. I thought it was gonna be more visually dramatic. But no,
I'm not
she
a
was like,
screamer.
No, she was like, let me pick my pillow. But I thought this episode might make you one. But yeah, so she grabs this pillow. She's chosen like her favorite one, right? She huddles up half behind it. It's part in front of her, like it's like a guard dog, but in pillow form. It was an emotional guard dog. And then she just goes, ew, 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 no, ew, why? So like her actual reactions are like, if you guys have ever seen the SNL skits of like when it's Jimmy Fallon and celebrities and they're pretending to be teenage girls, including Jimmy Fallon, and he wears like pigtails and braces and stuff, and he just goes, ew, ew. That was what it reminded me of. Like that's Laura watching something that scares the shit out of her. It's just Laura going, ew, no, why?
I do that on the podcast as well, when we talk about stuff. I'm like, ew.
Yep, that's very much like what it's like, you guys, watching it, like actually watching it with her. She's fucking hilarious.
And I did say in our episode 0, I said I don't scream at things, I hide behind a pillow.
She did it, and it was proven true. The reason why I thought it might be different is because she told me a story about her traumatizing events with clowns. And she was so like emotionally distraught. And then I thought about this episode, and this episode is genuinely like, if you are scared of clowns, this episode is scary. I thought it might tip her past the like normal horror watching point, you know, and it might be like a bit more, because there's also the times when like I mention something that she is scared of or lead up to it, like when I say Bloody Mary a certain number of times, okay, or when I skirt around certain haunted dolls that she doesn't want me to talk about on the podcast. She goes, no, Joy, no. She's like shouting at me. Okay. So I thought it might be different, right? But no, she just like, it's like watching that SNL sketch. She's like, ew, 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 no.
What was the story, the bouncy castle one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say about that later. Because there's a part in this episode that reminds me of that.
Yeah, she told me all about it while we were watching the episode. She's like, Joy, that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're in for a tour of everything that horrifies Laura, almost, in this episode. It's great. Yeah. I think this one's going to be really funny and really entertaining.
Yeah, it will be. What did you actually think of the episode?
I watched this one like a fair amount, I think, because I find Sam's absolute disgust at everything so hilarious. Like Sam is just like, oh, I'm obsessed with Ellen and Joe, and I always have been. And I've always been obsessed with the banter between Dean and Joe, because I like to think of myself as like a Joe, like personality wise, she and I are the same person. And so I love the vibe between her and Dean, because I'm like, that's how it would go down. If I was somehow magically transported into supernatural, that would be the thing. So I've rewatched this episode like a lot, you guys, a lot. I do really, really enjoy it. I think it's really, really funny. There's a lot of kind of tongue-in-cheek references in it. And I'm really looking forward to diving into the Easter eggs. Although I had to put so many warnings for Laura in my notes because it's a killer clown episode. So I went out and I found killer clowns and like terrifying real life clown stuff. Exactly. So I have pictures of stuff, but I've had to put like just the link and then a trigger warning and what it is so that Laura doesn't actually look at it because she will never speak to me again. It would be the end of the podcast. And also, there's like a reasonable number of people. So I looked it up. It's something like 1 out of every 10 people who's terrified of clowns. And,
Yeah.
and if that's the case, then there's probably a good bet that there's going to be more than 1 or 2 listeners who are going to feel the same way that Laura does. So to accommodate you guys, there's no photos of clowns in my show notes. You don't have to be scared. And everything that has something terrifying and clown related in it has a little warning sign next to it so that you're not going to accidentally jump scare yourself. If you are one of those people, probably just don't read my notes. Just don't read my notes for this episode because you will not sleep ever again. Just don't do that. You've been warned, okay? And I actually got so freaked out that I salted my phone. I literally put salt inside in between the case of my phone. I used a pendulum to see, like, am I okay right now? And I it fucking cleansed my room in here. Because like people who are not into spirituality right now are gonna laugh at me so hard, but it's fine, I don't care. I had to look up John Wayne Gacy stuff for this episode because
Oh,
all the psychological
yeah.
articles that I read about where does the fear of killer clowns come from, where does the fear of clowns come from, where did it originate, all link back to him. And
Mm,
so there's a picture of him dressed as his clown persona that I've put in the show notes. And then I also found the cursed painting that he painted of him as the clown. And that
ugh.
was the one that did it for me. I looked at that and I had such a visceral reaction. Like Laura knows from when we went to the Skirrid Inn, the most haunted pub in Wales, and I felt
That was
some
so
stuff in
cool.
there. It was really cool. I really felt some stuff in there though. We've got to tell you guys more about that. We got an EVP. It was sick. But like that was the feeling I had looking at this painting. I have never felt so wrong in my entire life. I was like, oh my God, cursed image. No. And I salted everything around me, lit a fucking candle. Like I was like Laura with Bloody Mary. I was like, nope, rejected. So I'm just gonna say, if any of you are sensitive, witchy, if you have any of the Claires, do not open that link. It's not worth it. Okay. It's gross. It's not worth it. Don't do it. If you're a normal average person and you think all this stuff is really silly, then go ahead and look at it. Knock yourself out. It's creepy as fuck. And if you're a horror fan, I think you'll really enjoy looking at it because what I did notice is his clown makeup looks almost exactly like the clown makeup in this episode. And
Yeah, I'm
when
pretty
you
sure
look
I've
at
seen that picture before.
yeah. So a lot of horror films, etc., the makeup is really drawn from his Pogo the Clown makeup because it makes
Mm,
it horrifying and terrible. And one of the things that horror movies do, consciously or unconsciously, is they give us a psychological kind of metaphor for the things that we're afraid of. So we're afraid of specific stuff, and then that gets translated into some kind of horrific creature like a zombie or a vampire, which stands in as a representation of the thing that we're actually afraid of as a society.
yeah.
And in this case, it's literal. We're literally afraid of killer clowns, and that's a literal killer clown. So that's the reference that gets drawn on. But yeah, my notes are terrifying. My notes made me salt so many things.
Well, do you know what you've managed to make me do now? So you know how you've been really, really nice and you went through all your notes and took all the pictures out so that I didn't have to look at them. You've made me want to go, what? Look at them all now. My curiosity is getting the better of me.
Don't do it. If you do it during the day at least. Like, do not look at night. It's not.
I won't do it once we've just recorded tonight then.
No, you're not going to sleep. So don't do that. You can look at it during the day, and she'll be messaging me tomorrow, going, "Ew, why? But yeah, it's that we've got dark history and all kinds of weirdness. So my preamble notes for you guys are about Medford because this is set in Medford, Wisconsin, and there is a real carnival there. It's called the Cooper Carnival. And there's
Mm.
so many weird historic links to Medford with the Killer Clowns theme. So the first thing is that the Black Dahlia, this is her
Mhm.
hometown.
Ah,
Um, one of the biggest bank robberies and jewel heists in the world history happened in Medford. So weird. There's mob and mafia activity in Medford going back to like bootlegging era.
yeah,
And then you also have John Wayne Gacy from
yeah.
Medford. So it is the home of the Killer Clown, which is why it's set here. Um,
Yeah, that
and
makes sense.
obviously, yeah, that's what my references are going to be.
Okay. um, yeah, I'll look forward to hearing those being together. my my preamble notes were kind of more about how obviously it was scary because it had clowns in it, but the episode kind of didn't flow for me in the sense that it felt like it was kind of two episodes put together. So it felt like the clown stuff could have just been an episode on its own. And then the like Ellen and Joe and Ash stuff could have been an episode on its own. And they didn't kind of blend together. Like I feel like they could have easily done that if they'd taken one of them with them. So like if Joe had gone with them or something for that investigation. But it kind of felt like both parts of the story didn't really get enough airtime. So it was kind of a little bit rushed at the end of the clown stuff because they just were like, "Oh yeah, we just killed him. He's gone now." And I was like, "Oh, is that it?" I was expecting that to last a bit longer. Um, so yeah, but I mean, it was good, and they probably you only have so many episodes in a season that you can do, so you have to kind of put stuff in for the story, I guess. And they're trying to obviously build this world of the hunters, and I do like that. I really like the world building of that, and I'm
Mm.
hoping that I'll get to see more of that. I'm hoping I get to see more of Ellen and Joe as well. Um, yeah, and other ones because she says something about she has the saloon and loads of hunters come pass through. So hopefully we'll get to meet some more of those as well. I do like the world building of that. It feels like Sam and Dean aren't like completely on their own, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love it too. It's really, really fun, that aspect of it. It's really important storytelling, and I really enjoyed it. I think that's one of the reasons why I do tend to rewatch it.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what to expect either because it's a clown episode. Because obviously we know John died at the end of the last episode,
Yeah.
and I was like, from the title, I knew the clown episode wasn't then the next episode, and I was like, how are they putting like a clown episode, which is clearly going to be like a bit more of a light-hearted kind of episode that you would think from the title, just after their dad has died. But I think they did that quite well with the grieving, how they talked about
Yeah.
the brothers' differences in grieving.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I kind of understand what you're saying because for me, it felt like there was an episode in there that was about John's death and grieving John and connecting to people through the grieving process because Ellen knew John and cared about John clearly. And so,
Yeah,
like, she and Joe are the people that they could talk to. Like, there's a
yeah,
touchstone of somebody else who knew the person that you lost. And, like, those would generally be the people that you'd have those conversations with if you wanted to. Um, so you have like that dynamic between Dean and Sam and how they are handling the grief really differently. And
yeah,
then you have a Monster of the Week episode, which is the Killer
mm,
Clown Demon guy. And it does work, but I understand completely what you're talking about when you're like, it feels like a couple of episodes kind of smushed together. Like, I think it works for me because if it wasn't mixed in with some Monster of the Week and some comedy, I would just want to not finish it. I think I
yeah.
would
That's
be
true.
so sad and so depressed. Like, as it is, there's a scene with John's funeral pyre, and I always want to cry. Like,
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the reasons why it's so brief. Because if you're thinking about it, part of you thinks this feels a little bit brief. Like, John was such a huge character. Something so massive has just happened, but it feels like we're going through it kind of quickly. But then
yeah,
also, I couldn't stand it because of how emotionally intense the last couple of episodes were. They've given us like three fucking super emotionally intense episodes back to back to back. And I think they were like, we have to give them a breather. We have to give them some comic relief, or
yeah,
we're going to start to have taken it too dark and people are not going to want to keep watching. And I think they're right. I think they made the right call. I think this is the right mixture of showing how sad people are, how that's building conflict between the brothers, and then also how are they going to move on and how is the show going to continue now that John's not there anymore, because the whole plot was about John telling them what
Finding
to do
him.
and where to go, and now that John's
Yeah.
dead, what's the plot now? So they have to show us that in this episode or the show doesn't hold water anymore. So I
Yeah.
think it's a great episode. I think they do a really good job. I rate this episode so high. It's one of my favorite episodes, easily. I love it so much. I love it even more now that I've watched it with Laura, because that was hilarious. I highly recommend that everyone should watch Clown Things with Laura. It increases your experience. Okay. That was great.
Or Doll Things probably as well have the same reaction.
Yeah. The thing that I would want to watch with you would be the slappy episode, like the movie, the Goosebumps, the new Goosebumps movies. If you were ever going to watch those, you would have to watch them with me. It's the law.
I have watched the new episodes, but I've stopped at that one. I stopped when it got to that. I knew the slappy one was coming, and I was like, I can't watch it. And I thought I was just gonna because I binged it, and then I stopped. And I was like, I'm just gonna brace myself, and I just haven't gone back to it. But I was really enjoying the series.
So good. It's so good. Yeah, it's funny to me because, like, on the one hand, I respect the fear and I understand the fear, but on the other hand, because any storyline that involves a living dummy is going to be camp
Yeah.
and kind of silly, like there's also a part of me that finds it a little bit funny. But yeah, it is now the law that if you ever actually watch the Goosebumps stuff with Slappy, you have to watch it with me.
It's so weird. It's such a weird fear. Like I'm way more scared of ventriloquist dummies. I would quite happily, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast already before, I would quite happily be in a whole room of clowns more than one ventriloquist dummy that looks like Slappy.
Yeah, you've definitely said it to me. I don't know if you've said it anywhere else, but you have definitely said it to me before. I live for this. It's great.
They're just so creepy.
They're pretty creepy. Yeah, they are pretty creepy.
Okay, shall I do the synopsis then?
Yes, please.
So this is season 2, episode 2, Everybody Loves a Clown. The original air date for this episode was October 5th, 2006. A killer clown is befriending children so they will let him into their houses at night so he can kill and feed on their parents. Sam and Dean find a voicemail from a woman named Ellen on John's phone. In the message, she says she can help him. So they go to meet her and she connects them with Ash, a genius who can use John's research to continue tracking the demon for them. In the meantime, they hear about the killer clown and the murders and investigate the carnival. They stop the clown from killing another family and find out that one of the carnival workers is the entity who has been manifesting as the clown, and then they stop him once and for all.
Yep.
So that it opens at the fun fair. Is it a fun fair or a carnival? A carnival, I guess.
It's a carnival, yeah.
And we see the rides and then some clowns. And then there's a man there that says, God, I hate clowns. They always creep me out. And I was like, yep, me too.
She totally was. She said that next to me. She was like, I feel you. Same page.
Agree.
That made me laugh out loud. Something that I noticed, and I don't know if I'm gonna find out if you had this core childhood fear, because I know I'm not alone about it, because I found Reddit threads and stuff about this before online, so I'm not the only one, which makes it even weirder. But the opening scene, as we see it, starts out red because we're seeing it through a red balloon, and then the balloon pops. And I thought that was kind of a fun horror moment, but it's also like a little bit of like a Pennywise reference, isn't it?
Yeah.
Immediately we have Stephen King references, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, you can't have a killer clown episode without it, can you? I think I completely missed that there was a balloon at the beginning.
No, so for the ladies and gentlemen, the non-binary babes, I am traumatized by red balloons, and I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know if I saw it in a movie, but there's apparently a group of kids from around the time period when I was young, and we all had nightmares about a solo red balloon. And
Is it from it? Really... Did you watch it?
I don't think that there was a movie or the TV series adaptation. I don't think that was out yet. Because the Tim Curry one,
that was like, hang on, I'll look it up. Carol.
Tim Curry stuff came out in the 90s.
Did it?
And then the original movie, yeah.
Are we sure? Are we sure about that?
According to what I read, it said 1991 that it came out.
Oh yeah, 1990.
So this would have been before that as well. So it's not just it. Obviously, for the ones who are after the early 1990s, it does totally track and make sense. But because I predate that, I don't know what triggered it. But I've looked it up before because I wanted to know if it was just me. And whenever I look it up, I found other stuff. So I wanted to put it in the podcast and be like, did anybody else, when they were a very small kid, have the red balloon nightmares? Not linked to a clown or anything else. It was just a red balloon just floating through.
See, but I feel like I remember that as well, but I just always likened it to it. Was it McDonald's? Was there something to do with McDonald's and balloons?
So they did have balloons and stuff, but the thing is like, I wasn't scared of clowns when I was little. I loved clowns. So
yeah,
clowns wouldn't have frightened me unless I had actually seen it. But I don't think, like we just established, there wouldn't have been anything around me at that age. So there's not an explanation for it. And that's why I find it so weird. So I'm putting a petition out here. Everybody who's had a random red balloon nightmare from back in the day, like I'm talking to the 80s kids, but not linked to clowns. Like it's okay if it is, but better if it's just a solitary floating red balloon, super menacing. It's so scary, but you don't know why. And as you go through the dream, it's like the balloon is leading you from bad thing to bad thing. And then I was watching this TikTok that was like on haunted TikTok. And there was all these balloons, and there was a guy in a haunted building, and it's the solo red balloon that the ghost chooses to move around. And like obviously that could be fake, but that's just what made me remember it. And so whenever I was watching this episode and I noticed the red balloon right at the beginning, I went
I've just remembered something that I'm going to send you later. So there's a shopping centre near where I live, and there's a video on YouTube of a balloon. I don't know what colour it is because it's black and white because it's CCTV, but it looks like it could be red. It's like not a white balloon. And this balloon like floats along, and you're like, oh, it's just in the breeze of the, the air conditioning or something. But it's closed. It's at night time. It's like a mall that's closed down for the night, and it goes down the escalator at the same height as if someone's holding it down the escalator, and then it just goes along the floor again.
See these fucking red balloons, you guys. These red balloons, okay? Haunted.
It's the coolest video.
Every single one. Okay.
I swear that it is a ghost, that video. I can't find a way to debunk it.
No. So Stephen King, I maintain that one of the reasons why his horror is so dynamic and brilliant is he taps into all of these weird cultural moments. So I actually have a reel up on my other page of me proving that it seems as though he actually had a vision. And I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to take up too much space here. But if you want to know more, write in and I'll tell you the whole story. But basically, he very clearly remembers something that it's impossible for him to remember because it's not in his lifetime, but he describes it absolutely perfectly. And it's so creepy and so weird. So I maintain that he has some kind of something going on. All right. And also in his book, he does dowsing with his uncle. So like there's something going on in that family tree. That's all I'm saying. His family tree, my family tree, there's similarities. All right, y'all. There's similarities. And trust him to pick things like the things that are in The Shining that everybody goes, oh, I've had that feeling before. To pick a red balloon, like a single red balloon is something that's going to be iconic in horror. Because that's such a random, innocent thing. And then there's so many people who are like, oh, no, by the way, I find that super fucking creepy. He's just magic. He's horror magic. That's the only thing that I have to say about that. So this is one of the reasons why I thrive every time we get a Stephen King reference in a supernatural episode.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't know if we're finding them or if they're in there on purpose, but I think they're in there on purpose because everyone who is into horror loves Stephen King, surely,
Oh yeah,
including
no. Well, I
Kripke.
mean, yeah. Well, so he's talked about it before, so I
Yeah,
know that we're right. Like maybe not every single one. There might be some that go in there subconsciously, and we just pick them out because we're big
yeah,
fans. But yeah, no, I definitely think they're in there on purpose.
and we love it.
Yeah, I've also said that the Pennywise reference continues from the red balloon because there's the clown at the back with the fucking like fang teeth on him. And I was like, is that just an optical illusion? But then no, you see it later on. He's literally a terrifying clown and he definitely has fangs.
Yeah,
So it's so creepy. And I was like, it's just we're starting strong with Stephen King references all the way through. And
yeah.
then the Wish version of Matthew Broderick says, God, I hate clowns. They always creep me out. Because that
Matthew
was the line.
Broderick.
He said he does, he looks like Matthew Broderick. And this little girl is having a fantastic time though. She's like living her best life. And Laura
Yeah, she's loving
looked
them.
so confused.
I don't get it. When kids like clowns, I don't get it. They are scary. How, like, even when they're trying to be fun clowns, they're scary.
She literally surfed this rant while we were watching. She was just like, why? No, it's so wrong. It was great. So then we cut to them in the car, and she's seeing a clown while they're driving in the darkness, and it's waving at her from the road, and it's not a normal wave.
No,
It's a
it's a bloody creepy
slow,
wave.
creepy wave, okay? And it's got a very eerie expression on its face, this clown. So then she's like, look, Mom, another clown. But when the mom turns to look, the clown's disappeared.
Yeah,
And she's
they don't
like,
see it.
what are you talking about? And she goes, you missed him. And I was literally like, well, thank fuck for that. She did not need to see that, okay? And I just kept thinking my like suspension of disbelief is there, but I feel like this girl is almost a little bit too old for me to believe that because he's just so scary. Like he's so clearly a horror movie clown. Is
Yeah,
it really like my ability to
looks
suspend my
sad as well.
disbelief?
That's the creepy bit about them because he's got like the clowns that have this like painted on massive smile. When they're not smiling, when the person in the clown suit is not smiling, that makes it even scarier and like more uncanny and just creepy because he's like looking really sad, but he has this massive smile. And that was my rant that I had written down because I wrote, she waves back. Why would anyone look at a creepy clown like that and think, oh, he seems cool, I'll wave and interact with him?
It is really scary. So I looked up the clown costume and the clown face, and I even referred to the eggs. So if you're not into history, then let me tell you about how you copyright clown makeup. Is there's an official clown museum or like ruling body, okay? Because jesters have been around for a really long time. So this is an old organization. They're like Catholicism, but clowns. And the way
They're
that you
creepy too.
register your trademark is they paint your exact likeness onto an egg, and then it goes into the museum. So I went through and I looked at the eggs to check the makeup. And what I found out was the makeup that's on this clown is a combination of John Wayne Gacy's makeup as Pogo the Clown, and 1900s clown makeup, and actually his costume and Pennywise's is 1900s. So it's a blend between Pennywise and 1900s clowns and Pogo the Clown. And I have images for reference in my show notes. Obviously, you've already been warned. So if you want to go and look at that, you can. But yeah, they're both 1900s clowns. And the thing that's so creepy is like it makes them look like they're in the wrong time. Like they look sort of ancient and weird, and like they're slightly not fitting in. The colors are a little bit faded on the costume, and the face paint, there's like sad mime eyes. So those are not
Mhm.
clown paint eyes. Those are mime eyes, which is another thing he has in common with Pennywise. Same sort of thing. And Pogo the Clown, it's the same thing. It's like triangular and weird and not quite right, you know? Because that was
Yeah.
I can't. Every time I think of that image, I would go that's enough to
You
give me
know
clown
how
phobia.
I was saying, I think it was one of the previous episodes not too long ago, how my nan had like a clown bedspread in her house in her spare room. So whenever I stayed over, I
Yeah.
was sleeping in a clown bed. She had that those clowns were like those mime clowns. They were really scary.
Yeah.
And they were like life size because they were on a bed.
Yeah, that's too much. You know, that's doing too much, and that will give you a phobia.
Yeah.
People need to think about this when they have small children around. Okay, that's no. Keep it to yourself.
So the family are driving home and she's seen him on the side of the road again. Then it cuts to Nora in bed. And I was like, nope, the clown is clearly going to be in her room. What the hell? But he wasn't actually in her room. He was outside in the garden. And she goes over to the window and then he's like, is he waving again? Creepily waving at her through the window.
This is the thing, is she sees the outline of it on her ceiling in shadows. And then she goes to the window because she's seen the shadows. Oh, that was so scary and gross.
I would not have.
And then
she's not scared of anything.
No, she's too young to understand that she should be scared of anything at all, I guess. And then he's holding just a solitary red balloon for like a beat. And then you don't
like
see it anymore. And it was full Pennywise. And I was like, ugh. And then she lets him in, and I wrote down at this point Laura was shouting "Ew, no why," which like she was
because I understand that kids might think clowns are fun, like at a circus or whatever, but in the middle of your garden, in the middle of the night, really? That's not where they're supposed to be.
So I was like, no, what are you doing? Everybody's gonna die, which is fair, because they do, you know. He does kill and eat her parents, so
yeah,
that's
and
unfortunate
she's so
for her.
excited to see him. She's so excited.
Yeah.
She has to go downstairs and let him in because he's amazing. Clearly has to let him in the house.
I love her outrage. She's like, and this is why we don't have children.
But that could have just easily been a random person dressed up as a clown wanting to break in and kill your entire family, which it kind of was.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Don't let me in. Don't let strangers in your house in the middle of the night, regardless of whether they look like clowns or not.
Well, so I have a note a little bit later on with like the other kid. I think his name is Evan, and I have very similar thoughts. I'm going to save that for when we get to that part. But yeah, we're on the same page. We're on the same page about this. Yeah. So then it cuts to the woods at night with John's funeral pyre, and he's having a hunter's funeral, which is very much like a Viking funeral. And Sam and Dean are like crying, and I did not like this because it makes me feel my feelings, and my tears burn, as we've established before, because I'm an unholy creature. So I didn't. It was really, really hard to watch, like really hard.
Yeah, and Sam's like really crying, and Dean's being stoic, but he like, I think he does cry at the end, doesn't he? A little bit. But that kind of sets up the episode for like how Sam's obviously being a bit more outwardly grieving and Dean isn't.
Yeah. And Sam says, before, did he say anything to you? But he like really struggles to get those words out. And he says about anything, and Dean says no, nothing.
And he's a liar.
Yeah, he's lying because we know that John said something to him. We just don't know as an audience what was said yet.
No, but we assume it's probably something to do with what he knew about Sam. That's my guess anyway.
We do, yeah. And it just makes it so dramatic, but it's also a little bit like interesting as a turnaround, because before there's that moment in the hospital room where John says that he doesn't know anything, And then Dean as a ghost is like crossing his arms, looking like a fucking snack, being like, well, you're lying. And
Yeah.
this is the same vibe again, where Dean
Yeah.
says no, nothing. And I just go crossing my arms, looking like a snack. Well, you're lying.
Yeah, right back at you, Dean.
Exactly. Exactly. I wrote down, this scene is horrible emotional damage. Someone call child services. Call Nano. I am not okay. My human rights have been violated. They're torturing me.
Yeah, poor John.
Yeah.
So then we cut to 1 week later and we're at Bobby's. And Dean is working on Baby on the car. And it looks like he's done quite a bit already, actually. And Sam asks if he wants help, and Dean's like, no, and he's just annoyed with him. And he's like, stop asking if I'm okay.
Actually, those lines are even funnier. Okay, and I have them written down because this gave me life. So Baby definitely looks better than she did before, because before she looked like a fucking tin can. Like, she looked like there was no hope. Now she's definitely baby shaped, but clearly still not yet okay. And Dean looks really sexy working on this car. Like, Dean working on a car, Dean driving with one arm, Dean being slightly homicidal. All of these things are thirst traps, as we know. So Sam walks up and says, how's the car coming along? And Dean says, slow. And he says, yeah, need any help? And Dean, like, throws a wrench. He's just like, so taken aback. And he says, what, you under a hood? I'll pass. Like, this whole time, there have been the little jokes about Sam being clumsy and Jared as a human just like breaking things on the set and stuff. And so I felt like this was like bants, as Laura says, this was bants, this was banter. But I died laughing because clearly Sam is not good with cars. And also he's a very large man. I don't even know how he would fit under there. Like, he's a giant. So I cracked up. And then he says, do you need anything else then? And Dean comes out and walks around and goes, stop it, Sam. And Sam goes, stop what? And he's like, stop asking if I need anything. Stop asking if I'm okay. I'm okay. Really, I promise. And I was just like, same page, same vibe. I hate it when people ask me if I'm okay. All right.
Yeah.
To the point that I have to bundle that rage down, because I know that people are trying to be nice, but oh my God, I hate it so much. Like, if you want to ask me something, just be like, all right. Or how's it going? You good?
Yeah.
Any of those, and I'm fine. But if you are you okay? I immediately want to punch people in the face. Okay. I know it's a me problem, but still, just don't. No. So Sam says, all right, Dean, it's just, we've been at Bobby's for over a week and you haven't brought up Dad once. And he's like, you know what? You're right. Come here. I'm going to lay my head gently on your shoulder. Maybe we can cry, hug, maybe even slow dance. And I laughed so hard. And I was just like, you know what? We're the same. We don't want to feel our feelings out here. We want to be toxic. We want to make dark humor jokes. We are on the same page. Carly, who is listening to this as this is on air, is nodding along. Totally right there with me, you guys. So, like, I'm in good company. Dean and I are the same person. Sometimes Laura and Dean are the same person, but today it's me. It's me. This is me.
I'm similar, though. I don't like to talk about my feelings, but also, for some reason, I was annoyed with Dean a little bit for the jokes at the end there, like the whole slow dancing thing, because it's like, you're both going through it. It's not just something that Dean is going through and Sam's like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? They're both going through it in different ways. So I feel like Dean wasn't really being mindful of Sam actually grieving as well in that moment, but I do get it, because I would probably be the same too.
I mean, okay, I don't think I'm just taking Dean's side for the sake of it, but I will say that one of the things that I've learned is people grieve in their own way at their own pace.
Yeah.
And Sam's trying to push Dean to show some kind of visible sign of grief. And Dean is not down with that at this point. That's not how it's not where he is. And one of the things that I hate the most in this world is when you go through a loss and someone else is like, you're not grieving appropriately. And while I know Sam is coming from a good place with this because he's concerned about his brother, it's just not, we can't police how people grieve. We can't police their feelings. It's not the same as like offering him a beer offering, if you want to talk about it, I'm here. Like, he's clearly already done that a bunch, and then he's not happy because he
Yeah.
thinks Dean's bottling stuff up and he's worried about him. But I think he
Yeah.
takes the wrong tack with his brother. It's from a place of love. But like,
Mhm.
I'm Team Dean.
Yeah. I feel like I'm kind of in the middle because I would react the same way as Dean, I think. But
Yeah.
I think Sam is kind of thinking, because it's their dad, he kind of wants or feels like maybe they could grieve together, and it doesn't work that way, does it? Like he kind of, it's like he wants Dean to be grieving the same way as him so that they can go through it together, and it's not going to work because they're different people.
I agree with that. And I also think that further from that, and I think the thing that triggers Dean in this episode, they did have a different relationship with their dad. And now
Mm.
Sam suddenly is acting like they were
Yeah.
close when they weren't. And Dean
Yeah.
is pissed off by the hypocrisy, which I
Yeah.
get. And so Sam is just like, he means well, but he's doing all the wrong things.
Yeah.
And
Because
that's
Dean
where the
calls him out on
fireworks
that.
come from. He does.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Dean calls him out later for saying like, you're not grieving either. Like, you're not dealing with it either.
Yeah, yeah. Their toxic
So
trait is the same as our toxic trait, okay? Sam likes to believe that he is emotionally aware and whatnot, but he Dean's right. He's not really processing it in the
no.
way that he's expecting Dean to process it. And everybody is doing that to Dean. Like, even Ellen's like, I know how close you and your dad were, and Dean's like,
Yeah.
shut up. Like, just
Yeah.
leave me alone. Just shut up. So
Yeah.
I really feel for him because, again, he and I are the same person. Same person. Don't make us feel our feelings. It makes us angry. So
Mhm.
we should probably go to therapy. But that's what it is.
Yeah.
So then we realize also that Sam's motivation at this point is revenge, and I think that's another reason why Dean gets angry, because Sam says, say something, all right? Hell, say anything. Aren't you angry? Don't you want revenge? But all you do is sit out here all day long buried underneath this damn car. And Dean says, revenge, huh? And Sam says, yeah. And then Dean goes off on like how they don't have any leads.
Mhm.
But that was really telling because Sam's taken all of his guilt and decided that his revenge situation, like his first motivation, is the same thing. He's just doubled down. He's just
Yeah.
doubled down on it. And I think that pisses Dean off, and I totally understand why, because it feels kind of hypocritical if you're Dean.
Yeah.
So I understand the frustration. I understand the anger at the end of the episode so much better after I'd sat down and thought through it when I was doing my notes. Because the first few times that I've watched the episode, I just thought this is just how he's expressing his grief, but why is he so angry?
Yeah.
And then I thought about it again and I was like, oh no, this makes total sense. This makes complete sense. Like, this part at the end is beautiful and it's perfect.
Yeah, that does make it make sense. Because I was just like, at this point, thinking, oh, they're just grieving in different ways. So Dean is obviously just trying not to think about it and keeping himself busy by working on the car. And Sam's been keeping himself busy by kind of carrying on with his dad's work, if you like, trying to track this
Yeah.
demon still. That
Yeah.
was his way to kind of dealing with it
Sam
in the
tries
first
to be
a
Dean.
week.
Yeah. Sam's version of grieving, air quotes, is trying to become Dean. And Dean feels really alienated by that. And it makes perfect sense. Like, both of those reactions make complete sense from where they are in the process. So yeah. So Sam tells Dean that he has something and that he's cracked one of Dad's old phones, and there's a voicemail, and they listen to Ellen's voice talking to John and saying that she can help him and to not be stubborn, and that made me laugh. And Sam says this was 4 months ago, and Dean's like, Dad saves this message for 4 months? And Sam's like, yeah. And they don't know who she is, and Dean's asking if there's any mention of her anywhere. And Sam says no, but he ran a trace on the phone number and got an address. And so Dean says, ask Bobby if we can use one of his cars. And what ensues is one of the funniest things that I have ever seen in my life. In my life.
We were
Oh
giggling
my God.
watching this.
We were laughing out loud, you guys. This was amazing. This is what we needed because we needed an emotional break, and this is the comedy we needed. So there is this beat up piece of shit minivan. Okay, that's what they end up with. And I was like, this is the same thing. Almost. Obviously, it's not a truck, but this is basically a bender vehicle. Like, it's making the same engine sounds as the fucking bender thing. It is just crawling along. Okay, it's horrible.
It was hilarious because we're used to seeing them in like a shiny, beautiful, classic car, and they're in this like janky old thing.
It was so wild. It was so wild. And Dean says, "This is humiliating. I feel like a friggin' soccer mom."
That's
And
so
I laughed
funny.
so hard. He's so angry. He's so angry. You guys really need to go and watch that scene again because, oh my god, he's so furious and it's so fucking funny and he looks so good. Like, he's so beautiful, but he's so mad. And it's just fucking everything. It gives me life every single time. I rewound it. Like, when I watched on my own, I rewind that scene just to watch him say that line. It's so
That's
good.
good.
It's so good. And then they pull up and it's the Roadhouse Saloon, which is obviously a movie reference.
Yeah. We both made Patrick Swayze jokes at the same time when we were watching it, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We did. So they go in and the saloon looks like a piece of shit saloon. Like, no offense to Ellen, but this is like a dark off-road place. Like, as a bartender, as someone who's been a professional bartender for most of my life, like when I was working, I did that as a job. She has dead soldiers, as in like shots and beers and stuff from the night before still sailing out. Like, it is disgusting. No one's wiped anything down. Like, this is like the backwoods country redneck bar where you roll up and everything is sticky and you don't want to know why.
Well, it looked like an abandoned bar to start with. I wasn't sure if it was actually like a working bar.
Yeah, it looks fucked. It looks fucked. And then there's this fucking there's this bug in the background that hits the bug zapper. But the bug zapper is not an average bug zapper. It looks like it's the electric chair for this fucking flyer or whatever it was. Like, it borderline low-key explodes.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the perfect way to set the ambiance of that. That and the fact that Ash, who we don't know is Ash yet, we don't know if he's dead or alive. Like,
he looks like a dead guy, yeah.
He looks dead on a pool table. It looks like they've walked in to this absolute nightmare. And there's just a dead dude on a pool table, and you just go, "Well, that's the kind of bar that we're in." I thought he was okay.
I thought he was dead. It was like a bit of a jump scare when he wakes up later because his arms all twisted like behind him in a really weird, unnatural way, and I was like, "I think he's dead."
Yep. It was so funny. It was the right ambiance for this scene. Okay, I was living my best life. And then Sam says, "Hey, buddy," and then he's like, "I'm guessing that isn't Ellen," and Dean goes, "Yeah." Because like, they are also like, "Is this guy alive?" I'm not sure. And they just kind of wander away and just leave him. So it's like, we're not going to check and see if this dude needs help. He's probably dead. It's fine. And then Sam goes to the back room and he's looking around, and Dean goes down the steps and then pauses because there is a gun in his back. And Dean goes, "Oh God, please let that be a rifle." And that made me like, which is a really dark Roadhouse reference, you guys. That's a Roadhouse joke. So the gun cocks, and then we pan over and we see Jo, who is a cute blonde girl, who's a final girl, can I just say, which we know that from this fucking entrance that she makes. And she says, "No, I'm just real happy to see you. Don't move." And I was just like, oh, such a badass line. I love these women so much. This is like fucking Themyscira, but like in the hunter's world. Like, this is the land of the badass Amazons, you know? And Dean says, "Not moving, copy that. You know, you should know something, miss. When you put a rifle on someone, you don't want to put it right against their back because it makes it real easy to do." And then he turns so fast and he snatched it off of her and he cocks it at her. And I'm just kind of nodding along because I took martial arts and I'm like, this is true. You shouldn't really hold the gun too close to somebody because they can grab it off of you. and Joe punches him in the face and takes the rifle back. And she does
really
it so
funny.
fucking fast. So fucking fast. It's actually really believable because usually when I see scenes like this, I'm just like, that's so stupid they could have pulled that trigger. In this case, no. Okay, Dean's toast. She fucking punches him like Rocky Balboa. And Dean goes over. It's so funny because Joe is like a tiny girl, okay? She is tiny. And Dean's a large, muscular man, and she just fucking destroys him. And Dean's going, Sam, I need some help in here. And then he's like, I can't see. I can't even see. Because she's obviously hit him at that point in the nose where like he's in so much pain that for a second he basically blacks out. And that's the best thing that I've ever seen in my life. And then the back door opens, which reveals Sam with both hands on his head. And he's entering slowly. And he goes, sorry, Dean, I can't right now. I'm a little tied up. And he nods his head back because Ellen has a handgun pointing directly at his head. So these women have taken down Sam and Dean fucking Winchester in less than 3 seconds. It is beautiful. And I love it. I love it. I'm so happy right now. And Ellen says, Sam, Dean, Winchester. And in unison, they say, yeah. And we know we love an in unison moment. Okay, we're here for that. That's a 10 out of 10 from us. And then Ellen goes, son of a bitch. And that was so much like Dean. I was just like, yeah, thriving. I'm thriving. So they established like that they're John Winchester's boys. And she introduces herself as Ellen and she introduces her daughter, Jo, to them. And Jo says, hey, and Dean says, you're not going to hit me again, are you? And I can't. I love it. I love it so much. Dean is so afraid of Jo. It's everything. And then Ellen hands Dean like an ice pack for his face because he's just an injured baby deer.
I liked the moment when she like instantly thaws when she realizes who they are. That was really good.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. It's good how fast she puts it together. And it's so fucking amazing the way that they just de-escalate because they were fucked. Like these guys have gone up against fucking killer ghosts, okay, like demons, actual demons. But Jo and Ellen, no, Jo and Ellen are badasses. And Jo and Ellen aren't even hunters. They're just like hunter adjacent. Well, to be fair, I feel like Ellen plays herself down. Like, I think she kind of is, though, but she just doesn't really call herself that. But yeah, they are final girls to the nth degree, and it's so awesome.
So they ask Ellen what she said she could help John with, like on the voicemail, and she says, well, the demon, of course. Like, duh. And then Dean says a funny line about missing an article or something, and I can't remember what it was.
Oh, what was there? An article in the Demon Hunters Quarterly that I missed? I mean, who are you? How do you know about all of this? That's the line.
Yeah.
So basically, they have a bit of banter, and it becomes established that like Ellen knows about what's going on. And Dean is kind of giving resistance, static. Dean says, so why exactly do we need your help? And Ellen says, hey, don't do me any favors. Look, if you don't want my help, fine. Don't let the door smack your ass on the way out. But John wouldn't have sent you if. And then she pauses because she sees their faces. And this is even more emotive than normal because obviously they've been in a fucking horrific car accident. And this time they actually still have wounds on their faces. So Laura and other people who are like, where's the marks? Where's the scars, guys? Like you can see it. They look extra vulnerable, particularly like Sam looks still so beat up and sad. And this part makes me want to cry, honestly. Like it's so dark. So she stops and she goes, he didn't send you. And then Dean looks down and then he looks at Sam while Ellen says he's all right, isn't he? And she's so vulnerable when she says it. It fucking kills me every single time. And Sam says, no, he isn't. It was the demon. We think it just got him before he got it, I guess. And you can see like he's tearing up. And it's so awful. And so Dean says, it's okay, we're all right. And Ellen says, really? I know how close you and your dad were. And Dean says, really, lady, I'm fine. Because again, as we've established, Dean doesn't want to feel his feelings. None of us do.
No, he doesn't want to talk about it.
And Sam starts talking and says, so look, if you can help, we could use all the help we can get. And Dean gives him the filthiest look when he's like, so if you can help. Dean looks like he wants to kill him. And he has his arms crossed over his chest. And that's a thirst trap for me every single time. Like, that was hot. So Ellen says, well, we can't, but Ash will. And Sam says, who's Ash? And Ellen goes, Ash. And the dead guy resurrects himself from the pool table with one fucking hell of a mullet, okay? I'm talking like the sides are totally gone in that kind of like 80s way. And then he has just full hair metal down to like his waist, basically.
It was a bad mullet.
It was a bad mullet with like a truly 80s redneck sort of an outfit. It's one hell of a combination. And Sam says, that's Ash. And Joe says, he's a genius. So a brown folder gets slapped down onto the bar, and Sam and Ash are sitting, and Dean's standing behind them. And Joe's on the other side of the bar pouring water. And Dean says, you've got to be kidding me. This guy's no genius. He's a Leonard Skinner roadie. And I cracked up because like truer words were never spoken. And Ash just says, I like you. And Dean says, thanks. And I was like, I think Ash actually likes him. Like, there's a moment later on where Dean doesn't finish his beer and Ash finishes it. And I was like, you just wanted your lips somewhere where Dean's lips were. And I understand that motivation, but oh my God, it's so funny. So Joe says, just give him a chance. So Dean opens the folder and he says, all right, this stuff's about a year's worth of our dad's work. So let's see what you make of it. And Ash pulls out the papers and he starts rifling through it. And he says, come on, this crap ain't real. There ain't nobody can track a demon like this. And Sam says, our dad could. Yeah, he's impressed. He's disbelieving, but impressed. And when Sam says our dad could, I was like, oh, don't make me feel feelings, damn it. Because it's just like, he's so... It's just beautiful. Like, he's like, he really means it, and he's really proud of him. So Ash says there are non-parametric statistical overviews, prospects, and correlations. I mean, damn. There's signs, omens. If you can track him, you can track this demon, like crop failures, electrical storms. You ever been struck by lightning? It ain't fun. And I was like, that explains a lot about you, Ash. That explains a lot. Is Ash
that might explain his hair.
Yeah, the lightning burned off parts of it. So Sam says, can you track it or not? And Ash says, yeah, with this I think so, but it's going to take me time. Give me 51 hours. And that made me laugh too, because like usually it's dramatic time. People are like, give me 48 hours. But Ash being Ash says, give me 51 hours.
I thought it was funny because there was like a really long pause where he was like calculating the time, and I was expecting him to say like a week or like a month, and it was like, no, just like a couple of days.
Yeah, and the other thing that I thought was really cool about this is it shows us that John was a genius. Like, we kind of get that from when he turns that whole water tank into holy water and all the math and stuff, but it's really clear that Sam gets his brains and his intellect from John. Yeah. I'm not saying Mary had no input, but we just don't know anything about her at this point. But now we realize that John is definitely a genius. Because Ash, who's like MIT genius, is like, oh my God, I can barely understand this. This is insane. And John's the one who put it together. So that's really cool.
He also was a bit obsessive though. Like, it was basically his full-time job finding the demon, wasn't it? So he put a lot of hours in.
Yeah. So Ash goes to leave and Dean says, hey man. And Ash says, yeah. And Dean says, I dig the haircut. And Ash goes, all business up front, party in the back. And he does like a hair flip.
That's funny.
It's great. It's so good. So then as he leaves, Joe walks by and she's kind of like, there's a vibe between them. And I wrote down, Dean goes to Joe like a magnet. So I was like, he's still alive. And because we can tell that he's like damaged, he's heartbroken, he's all the things. But the fact that he's chasing after an attractive blonde girl tells us that he is in fact still alive. He's still kicking.
Although I have to point out that it was a rather unnecessary shot of her arse. It was just the camera following her arse as she walked around the back of the bar. Because that's supposed to obviously show us that he's checking her out, but we could have got that anyway from
that's supposed
the
to
next
be Dean's
part.
gaze. Yeah.
Yeah. but it was very unnecessary.
It was. I feel like it was there for comedy value, but I could understand why. It's a lot. Like, I do think that it's comedic, but it is a lot. I'll give you that. I'll give you that for sure. So then Sam notices that there's a police scanner and a folder behind the bar, and he asks Ellen what it is, and she says, I was going to give this to a friend of mine. We all know she means John, but take a look if you want. And she gives him the folder, and there's clippings in it, and it says couple murdered, child left alive, Medford, Wisconsin. And meanwhile, over in the corner, Dean goes to sit down by Joe, and he's asking her how they got into it. And Joe explains that her dad was a hunter, but he passed away. And they have this shared moment where, like, they've both lost their fathers. And it's kind of nice. And then Dean says, yeah, so I guess I've got 51 hours to waste. Maybe tonight we should, and then, so he looks at her, and her jaw goes really hard. Like, it's this silent, really expression on her face.
I feel like it's oh, here we go again.
Yeah. And as somebody who's an attractive girl, no, I'm not trying to brag here, but, like, who's worked in a bar, that's so fucking relatable. Because you're like a goldfish in a fucking barrel, and there's nowhere for you to go. So it can be very relentless. So I felt that in my bones, and I was like, this is one of the most accurate things that I've ever seen in my life. And she goes, what? And he goes, nothing, just wrong place, wrong time. I feel like he's decent. I feel like he reads her face and he goes, nah.
Yeah.
And Joe says, you know, I thought you were going to toss me some cheap pickup line. And Dean laughs because, like, she knows, and he knows that she knows, and it's funny. And she says, most hunters come through that door and they think they can get into my pants with some pizza, a 6-pack, and side one of Zeppelin 4. And Dean goes, well, what a bunch of scumbags. Well, we know that that's 100% what his game plan was. And I died laughing. Like, I was rewatching it, and I almost choked on my drink. But it's funny every single time. And Joe goes, not you. And Dean goes, I guess not. But his face is all like 100%. That is 100% me. I have to get some new moves. You know, like, you can see him doing the math. It's great.
She's definitely flirting back at this point as well, though.
Oh, 100%. It's great. It's banter. It becomes banter, and it's awesome. So Sam calls for Dean to come and check something out, and Dean's, like, saved by the fucking bell. Like, you can see it's a mixture between frustration and relief on his face. That's so funny. And Sam says that there's murders not far from where they are that Ellen caught wind of, and it looks like there's something to hunt. And Dean goes, yeah, so. And Sam says, I told her we'd check it out. Yeah. And so then we cut to the highway, and it's nighttime, and they're driving. And Dean's saying, you've got to be kidding me, a killer clown? And Sam says, yeah, he left the daughter unharmed and killed the parents, ripped them to pieces, actually. And Dean says, in this family, Laura was not okay. She was not okay. Dean says, this family was at some carnival that night. And Sam says, right, the Cooper carnivals. And Dean says, so how do you know we're not dealing with some psycho carny in a clown suit? And Sam says, well, the cops have no viable leads, and all the employees were tearing down shop. Alibis all around. Plus, this girl said she saw a clown vanish into thin air. Cops are saying trauma, of course. And Dean says, well, I know what you're thinking, Sam. Why did it have to be clowns? And Sam says, give me a break. And Dean laughs and says, you didn't think I'd remember, did you? I mean, come on. You still bust out crying whenever you see Ronald McDonald on the television. And then Sam goes, well, at least I'm not afraid of flying. And then Dean's like, planes crash. And Sam says, and apparently clowns kill.
Yeah, and that's valid. I just want to say, Ronald McDonald is a scary clown, because I'm more scared of clowns that just look like normal clowns than I am the killer clowns. Ronald McDonald is scarier than Pennywise to me.
That's wild. Wild to me.
I hated McDonald's when I was younger because I hated that bloody clown on everything.
Yeah. My friend who is super scared of clowns, the one that I grew up with, her mom actually worked at a McDonald's. So she had to see Ronald McDonald all the time. And I wonder if that's where her fear of clowns came from.
Mm. I'm glad they don't use him as much on like advertising and stuff all the time now.
Yeah. He seems to be kind of retired. Um, but in this exchange, Sam's face basically literally says, "Fuck you, bro. Fuck you."
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny. And then Dean gets so mad when he brings up the whole flying thing, and he's so defensive. Um, it is hilarious. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
So then Dean says, "So these types of murders, they ever happened before?" And Sam says, according to the file, 1981, the Bunker Brothers Circus, the same MO happened there 3 times, 3 different locales. And this is a little Easter egg because the Bunker Brothers is a reference to the Bunker twins, who were the first quote unquote Siamese twins in a carnival. They are also the most famous conjoined twins probably in history. They have quite a dark story, not because they were conjoined twins, but because they were just bad people. They got really rich from their acts. This is not to say that they didn't suffer themselves in their own lives, but they just took the suffering that they experienced and was like, well, let's do this to other people. So they start out in a not great position, then get very, very wealthy. And then they exploit that wealth and they end up exploiting other people. So I have a whole dark history section in my show notes if you guys are interested in that. And you can explore the dark history of the Bunker Brothers.
Oh, so it's a real reference. I didn't realize that.
Yep. I'm a nerd and I find all those hidden references.
This is when they think, or I think Dean says it must be attached to an object or something, as that would explain why it's moving around. Instead of staying in one area, it's moving around from place to place. And Dean asks Sam why he was so keen to take this job, as it's not like him. And we're like, yeah, Sam doesn't usually care and just wants to find a demon. So it is a bit out of character.
Yep.
And Sam says it's what Dad would have wanted, and Dean is like, he doesn't bring it up. This is kind of the start of a massive argument they have later, but he's kind of like not biting at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of ignores it for now.
It's definitely the build up. It's definitely the build up. Dean says what Dad would have wanted, and Sam says, yeah, so, and then Dean goes, nothing. But it's like that angry teenage, nothing. Yeah. So funny. It's so good. So then we go to the fun house and it's nighttime. And there's this little kid and his dad going through it. All right, so to set this scene for you, it's nighttime and we're at the carnival. And the creepy fucking clown with the fang teeth and that open mouth has blue light and smoke coming out of it. And I was like, this is clearly Laura's nightmare. And it looks kind of like a portal to hell with the blue light and the fog coming out of it and the like horrific clown fangs. Like it looks like Pennywise. It is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, it would be my portal to hell. Yeah, this like facade of the fun house, because the doorway to get in is the clown's mouth, isn't it? And this triggered my my like childhood. Well, it's not even really a childhood memory. So right, I had the bouncy castle, and most people have a bouncy castle when they're like 4, 5. I had one for my 16th birthday. Because I'd never had one, and I don't know to this day because I have different stories from my mum, but she says she just hired a bouncy castle and she didn't know what it was. She had no idea what like the bouncy castle was going to be of. And so I wake up on my birthday and this bouncy castle is being blown up in our garden and it's taking up nearly the whole entire garden. And it's a clown and it's a clown's head. So the opening to the bouncy castle is the clown's mouth. So I was like, I cannot go in there, Mum. I'm going to basically be eaten by a clown so I can go in the bouncy castle. So what I had to do when everyone got there, I was like, I can't go in it. I had to close my eyes and my friends like pushed me into it. So I didn't have to see. Because once I was inside, it was fine. I was like, the clown's going to eat me.
How many people pushed you in?
Well, just all of my friends that were there, they were like, look, they've been bouncing around for like an hour already at this point. And I was like, I can't go in it. I was having a bit of a tantrum about it. And like, why would you get this one, Mum? And she's like, I didn't know it was going to be a clown. But they were like, look, you have to go in. Just close your eyes and go for it.
And then they shoved you.
Yeah.
Is this like 3 to 5 people just going?
Yeah, I can't remember. It wasn't. Yeah, I don't know if they actually pushed me or pulled me, and they were like with me and like, just close your eye, and we all kind of went in together.
Maybe some of them pushed you and some of them yanked you. That's even funnier.
Yeah, and then it was hilarious. Fine. I just couldn't come out because then I wouldn't be able to go back in again.
So this dad and this kid are going through the haunted house, and this kid is like, he looks like he's like 5, and he's on a Game Boy or something, and he is unimpressed with everything, and he's like, "Ooh, yeah, Dad, scary." And I was like, this kid is cold as fuck. And then he sees all the different things, but then he sees like a clown and go, "Oh, he's scared of clowns." And the dad's like, "Don't be scared of clowns. They're your friends." And no, I was like, not. Cut to, he's about to be murdered in his bed, because this is why you can't generalize like that with small kids. Because you're like, clowns are your friends. And then they'll think every single clown they ever see in their life is a friend, and they'll assume that's a safe person. So that's just like my note for everyone about that. You can't generalize to little kids. That's very realistic horror. Blech.
My note was just like, really, what clowns have you met that are nice clowns?
Laura's so angry. She's like, no clowns are okay.
He's basically teaching his kids that, stranger danger and everything doesn't exist. Like, if they're dressed as a clown, they're fine.
This is my point. You've got to be more specific. So the clown is doing, like, when he looks up, he's like, "You're right, Dad. He's my friend." This man is in bed at night. He looks up. He's woken up by his child holding the hand of an evil clown, and this clown is doing the Kubrick stare at him. And there's this ominous jingle. And then there's a menacing murder smile from the Kubrick stare. Okay. And then you've got to think also the face paint is like red paint going up towards his eyes like Pennywise. It is 10 out of 10 jump scare. Creepy as fuck. And then there's a jump scare musical sting too. So that was just a lot.
That was horrible.
That was so much. And then
this one I was like, ew, no.
Yeah, you'd had enough. It was great. We cut to the carnival, and it's daytime, and the squeaky ass minivan pulls up outside of the carnival, and I wrote, "I cannot get over the loser mobile." It really is just reminding me of the Benders. And then they get out, and they see a detective interviewing some carnies, and Dean's like, "Check it out, 5-0," and that was funny. So then Sam stands with his hands in his pockets as a 3-foot-tall woman in a clown outfit passes him. He stares at her, and he is shitting a brick, okay? And it's so funny because there's this little person who's just looking at the fear in this literal giant's face. All right, you've got opposite ends of the height spectrum, and Sam sees her and is literally fucking petrified. And you realize that he was also holding his breath, because when Dean comes up, he goes, like right before Dean comes up, he lets the air out of his lungs, and you realize he's holding his breath the entire time, fucking white knuckling it. And Dean's like, "Did you get her number?"
That was funny.
Yeah. And Sam is fully hyperventilating, and he's so annoyed by Dean, and he's like, "Oh, more murders." And Dean says there were 2 more last night, and apparently they were ripped to shreds, and they had a little boy with them. And Sam says, "Who fingered the clown?" And gives Sam this look. This is Sam like that, which is just like phrasing.
Yeah. That's funny.
And Sam's like, "What?" And Dean says, "Yeah, a clown who apparently vanished into thin air." And so Sam says, "Dean, looking for a cursed object is like trying to find a needle in a stack of needles. They could be anything." And he's like, "Well, it's bound to give off EMF, so we'll just have to scan everything." And Sam goes, "Oh, good, that's nice and inconspicuous."
Yeah.
So they decide that the only way that they can, like, do this is by posing as carnies. So they go to get a
Mhm.
job as carnies, basically.
Yeah.
Um, and the cursed object lore was fun. So I went out and I found cursed objects for you guys, and they're in my show notes. Now, I'm not going to
Ooh.
read them out because Laura will lose her shit, because in and amongst them is a doll who apparently haunts podcasts and does other stuff
Yeah,
if you
no.
mention his name.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, she's already kind of flipping. So, the link, if you want to explore all the cursed objects, she's hiding in her t-shirt right now, you guys. I can't. Okay, so that's in the show notes. That's me covering the cursed object lore. I would read it
Wait,
to you, but again,
is there anything that's not that doll?
yeah, there are things that are not that doll. But I think that they will freak you out as much as the doll freaks you out. So it's just not.
Okay.
It's not worth it. Read it in your own time. To the listeners, not to Laura. Laura, I don't know. You won't like it. Um, it's good and scary stuff. So they go into a tent and there is a man throwing knives at a target, and they're landing pretty close to the bullseye. And Dean says, "Excuse me, we're looking for Mr. Cooper. Have you seen him around?" Turns around. Turns out this man is blind. And he says, "What is that? Some kind of joke?" And he pulls off his sunglasses. And Dean goes, "Oh God, I'm sorry." And then this just made me think of Faith. I was like, he does not have a good track record with blind men. Like he can't. And
Accidentally insulting people.
yeah, every single time. So then this blind man is like tearing into him, and Dane's like, "Oh God." And then he turns to Sam and he's like, "Want to give me a little help here?" And Sam's laughing he's smirking. He's like, "Not really." He's like, "You're on your own. This is my revenge for all your clowns shit." Um,
Yeah.
and then a little person walks in who looks like he's a strong man. And he says, "Hey man, is there a problem?" And Dean turns and looks down to see him. And the blind man, because we don't know his name yet, says, "Hey, yeah, this guy hates blind people." And Dean says, "No, I don't. And then the short guy says, "Hey buddy, what's your problem?" And Dean says, "Nothing, it's just a little misunderstanding." And the short guy says, "Well, you son of a bitch." And Dean's like, "No, no, no. Could somebody tell me where Mr. Cooper is?" And Sam's in the background laughing. And then Dean goes, "Please." Like a little
That was
kid.
funny.
And I laughed so hard. I laughed so hard. So then they go into Mr. Cooper's office, right? And he's saying, "Oh, you picked a hell of a time to join up. Take a seat." And Dean looks at the chairs that are there. There's like this normal black chair, and then there's this horrific clown chair with evil
Why?
eyes. It's
Why
so
is there a
rough.
cloud chair?
So Dean assesses the situation and fucking jets himself into the normal chair so that Sam is forced to sit into
Yeah, that was
the
mean.
clown chair. It was so mean, but it's so funny. So Sam, who's looking like he's about to actually pass out, sighs and then tries to sit on the chair without actually touching the chair, which is amazing. And Dean is so happy with himself. Oh.
The funniest bit about that was that Sam had also realised, and they both kind of lunged for the normal chair, but obviously Dean gets there first, and they're kind of like trying to. Their reaction is funny because they're trying to still act normal in front of this guy they have never met before.
Yep. Yep. It's amazing. So they managed to talk themselves into getting hired. And Cooper gives them kind of like some background about things. And he talks about what it was like to be a carnival worker.
We had a red herring in this section because he talks about, he shows them a photo of his daddy and
Mhm.
sounds like, "You look just like him." And I think I'd pointed out at the time that, well, it's because it's clearly the same actor in the photo as this actor.
Yeah.
And so then later on, this was a red herring for me because I thought it was going to be him that was the clown demon thing, not who it
Yeah.
ends up being.
Yeah. Okay. So it's outside the carnival and it's daytime. And Dean says, "Huh." And Sam says, "What?" And he says, that whole I don't want to go back to school thing, were you just saying that to Cooper, or were you, saying it, Sam? And Sam says, I don't know. And Dean says, you don't know? I thought that once the demon was dead and the fat lady sings, you were going to take off and head back to Wussy State, which is funny. And Sam says, I'm having second thoughts. And Dean says, really? And Sam says, yeah, I think Dad would have wanted me to stick with the job. And Dean says, since when do you give a damn about what Dad wanted? You spent half your life doing exactly what he didn't want, Sam. And Sam says, since he died, okay, do you have a problem with that? And Dean goes, nah, I don't have a problem with that at all. But we can tell that shit's a brewing. This is a volcano.
Yeah.
Like, Dean's angry and something's going to happen later. So this is just like an important part of the buildup. And then we cut to Sam picking up trash, wearing the carnival jacket while scanning around with the EMF reader. And he goes into the fun house. Sam's in his own personal hell because the fun house is obviously, as we've established, a giant clown mouth. And he is also surrounded by clowns while he's outside. So he goes from being surrounded by clowns outside picking up trash to going into the mouth of the clown. And then there's the jump scares in the carnival that don't really in the fun house that don't really get him until there's a skeleton drop. Mm-hmm. It's like hanging from a rope. And it is a good jump scare. And Sam jumps, okay? And it is so funny. But it also gives him an idea. So we cut to Dean outside. And Sam's called him. And he says, hey, man. And Dean says, what's the matter? You sound like you just saw a clown. And Sam says, very funny, a skeleton, actually. And Dean's like a real human skeleton. And Sam says, in the funhouse, listen, I was thinking, what if the spirit isn't attached to a cursed object? What if it's attached to its own remains? And Dean says, did the bones give off EMF? And Sam says, well, no, but... And Dean's like, well, we should check it out anyway. I'm heading to you. But then the blind guy grabs his arm and says, what are you doing here, kid? And Dean says, I was just sweeping. And the blind man says, bull. And what were you talking about? Skeletons? What's EMF? And this is really, really funny. And Dean goes, dude, your blind man hearing is out of control. Which, again, is a reference to Faith. Because he gets called out when he's in the tent. And the guy says, the good Lord helps me see into your hearts. And he goes, yeah, right into your wallets. So he just cannot get away. And from this situation, it is so funny. So then Dean pitches him a story about how he and Sam are writing a book about ghosts, and that's his get out of jail free card in this particular instance as an excuse.
There's a Dean hot smirk here as well.
Yes, classic. And
then when Dean gets to Sam, there's another little girl pointing and telling her mum to look at the clown, and the mum's like, "What clown?" Because the parents cannot see the creepy clown; only the children can see the creepy clown. And I was like, "Oh no, not again."
Oh yeah, she was not okay. She was like, ew, no.
And Sam and Dean go over because they're like, wait, this is weird. And they can't see the clown either.
Yep. So Sam's face is amazing. I was like, so pale, so sad. Because he's so scared. So Sam and Dean are staking out the family's home. And Sam says, Dean, I can't believe you told the Papazian about the homicidal phantom clown. And Dean says, I told him an urban legend about a homicidal phantom clown. I never said it was real. And he pulls out a gun and cocks it. And Sam grabs it and pushes his hands down and says, keep that down. And Dean says, oh, and get this. I mentioned the Bunker Brothers Circus in 81 and their evil clown apocalypse. Guess what? And Sam says, what? Before Mr. Cooper owned Cooper Carnival, he worked for Bunker Brothers. He was their lot manager. And Sam says, so you think whatever the spirit's attached to, Cooper just brought it with him? And Dean says something like that. I can't believe we keep talking about clowns.
I can't either.
He's having the best day because he gets to continually piss off and scare the shit out of Sam. And it's so funny. And I have an Easter egg for you guys here because he talks about it being 1981 and there being a clown apocalypse. And fun fact, there was kind of a clown apocalypse in 1981, and I'm about to traumatize Laura.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so like we said before, the Bunker brothers are referring to Cheng and Eng Bunker, who were the twins that I told you about before. But the fear of clowns search that I did came up with this amazing gem. So it says the fear of clowns or chlorophobia reached its peak in the 1980s. Some factors that contributed to this fear include clown harassment reports. Children across the country reported being harassed by clowns. Urban legends. Urban legends about killer clowns who waited for babysitters became really popular. Stephen King's It, published in 1986. That book is considered a definitive work of fiction about killer clowns. Clown Panic in Boston. Here we go. In 1981, a school counselor in Boston warned the school district about clowns bothering children. Police received many calls about clowns in vans trying to lure children into the vehicles.
Ew.
You sounded like a cat.
Were any of these like proven that they were true? Or were they just people thinking like kind of hysteria?
As far as I know, I do think that the clown panic in Boston was based on something real.
Okay.
In the 1980s, we also have the whole moral panic situation where stranger danger becomes a legitimate fear and people just get hysterical about it.
Yeah.
The other thing that contributed to the fear of clowns is the fact that Poltergeist comes out in 1982, which features a clown doll that some say is the scariest of all time. I have a link to that photo in the show notes.
I blocked that out.
Yeah.
I've only just remembered about that clown. No.
So that clown, I think, was a reference. You know that clown doll, like the mobile in the other episode where we were like, why? And I had a rant about it. When I looked at the image of the clown that they're talking about, that one clearly looks really similar to that other clown. So I feel like that was a horror movie reference. Okay. So then we're going to go down to an article called Creepy Clown Sightings Actually Started in the 80s. And this was written by Ethan Weston. So the article goes, this is from back in October of 2016 when the clown hysteria, the most recent one, happened.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was thinking, obviously, yep. So this episode came out in 2005, 2006?
Yeah.
So it takes place right in this hotspot lead up between the original panic of the 80s and then the early 2000s. It starts building, and then that eventually will lead to what happened in 2016. But there were some issues in the early 2000s around when this episode comes out. So this is what we're drawing from. So it says, people living in Greenville, South Carolina are being warned about a group of clowns that are trying to lure kids into the woods, a reporter for KTNV said. 3 reported clown sightings overnight, a WJHL anchor said. As a nationwide clown hoax problem continues, a WFXT anchor said. Some local law enforcement agencies are asking FBI and DHS about what to do about creepy clown sightings. So I'm wondering if the president is aware of this phenomenon, a reporter asked Press Secretary Jay Carney. Creepy clowns have been terrorizing towns across America for the past few months. The whole thing started back in August when reports surfaced of clowns hanging around in the woods near the town of Greenville, South Carolina. But this isn't the first time that America has faced an onslaught of clownish terror. That distinction goes to the 1980s. First came a real killer clown. Serial killer John Wayne Gacy killed dozens of men and boys in the late 70s. He also moonlighted as Pogo the Clown for events around town. So in the show notes, there is a cursed image of that, as I've said. And there's also a photo of John Wayne Gacy in his clown makeup that you can look at. So you can see the horror movie references that I've brought up. I also think that's a cursed image. But, proceed at your own risk. Gacy's trial began in February of 1980, and he was found guilty of murdering 33 people, most of whom he buried under his house and garage. And to be clear, there haven't been any known cases of an actual clown killer since Gacy, but the real clown panic began in Boston in 1981 when the school counselor sent out a memo to the school district warning about clowns bothering children. Boston police began getting a ton of calls about clowns in vans trying to lure kids into the vehicle. It only spiraled from there. Not long after the original sightings, phantom clowns were being spotted in Omaha, Nebraska, Kansas City, Missouri, and Denver, to name a few places. As tales of the clowns spread, the stories seemed to escalate. There were more reports of people in clown suits carrying knives or machetes. And here's the kicker. With the exception of a few cases, the clowns were only ever seen by children, and apparently no hard evidence of the clowns was ever found. Since 1981, phantom clowns have appeared in the news a few times, usually in the months leading up to Halloween. This is probably just one of those years.
Was that still the 2016 ones?
So that's the 2016 ones, and then talking about the 80s ones. And then I found another article.
I remember the 2016 ones. That was so weird. Like, it was everywhere. And even in England, in this country, it was everywhere. I was like, what is going on? And my brother we were like a bit of Sam and Dean here, because he, around that time, he kept sending me loads of videos of like creepy clowns in car parks and stuff. And I was like, stop sending me them.
Yeah, no, it was really scary. Like, it was all over the place. It was on the news. It was on like social media. Everyone was talking about it. It was so scary. I think even if you weren't generally scared of clowns, people were like, what the fuck is this? It was really terrifying. And so I also found another article that was written in the UK, and I thought that was really interesting because it turns out that this spread all over the world. And I found a Wikipedia article that I've linked below. I don't think I'll have time to read it to you guys today, but I think that you should read through the whole thing, unless you're Laura, in which case you'll never sleep again, which is about this is a global kind of epidemic, for lack of a better word. There have been creepy clowns or killer clowns, quote unquote, sighted all over the world, all through the 2000s. And it is so scary and so weird. So
it's weird.
This article says it began in the UK on Friday, the 30th of September. Police in Newcastle received reports of someone dressed as a creepy clown leaping out of bushes to scare children. Over the next few days, half a dozen such clown incidences were recorded. A teenage clown was arrested in possession of a bladed article, quote unquote, meaning a knife. On the 5th of October, the tabloids announced that a terrifying clown craze had hit these shores, and so it began to spread. The first named victim was 17-year-old student Megan Bell, who has a lifelong fear of clowns and was chased down the street by one at night. Soon, more clowns began to pop up in Wales, Manchester, Sheffield, and Liverpool. Then just about everywhere. Concerned parents made Facebook pages about clowns, thus inadvertently helping to spread the meme. The Metropolitan Police advised school children to call 999 if they saw a, quote, killer clown. I shit you not, that's something that the Met did.
Killer
like,
clown.
That's how serious.
If you see a clown killing someone, call us.
If you see a killer clown, call emergency services. Yep. So it says that the craze started in the US in August, where people dressed as clowns had been popping up creepily all over the country. There was speculation that it was a PR stunt for the upcoming release of the new movie, like the update to Stephen King's 1986 horror novel, It, which features a famously eerie clown called Pennywise. But in fact, the earliest reported incident, a creepy clown standing in the street holding black balloons in Green Bay, Wisconsin, was a marketing ploy for a short film entitled Gags, produced by a local, Adam Krause. But subsequent clowns began to terrorize children and sometimes attack people, while commentators spoke of panic and hysteria. In Pennsylvania, a teenager was reported to have been murdered by someone in a clown mask. Police said later that it was the victim who had the mask, but 2 weeks ago, a clown stabbed a teenager in Varberg, Sweden. There were, we are told, creepy clowns or even killer clowns everywhere. Last weekend, the NSPCC said that childline counselors had received hundreds of calls from children worried about clowns. People call it the Great Clown Panic, or Clown Uprising, or Clown Invasion, or Clown Craze of 2016. And so far, it shows no signs of abating. There's other sections of the article that call it a clown apocalypse. And I thought that was weird.
Uprising. It's funny.
Because this happened obviously after this episode, but Dean calls it a clown apocalypse. And I felt like it was another one of those spooky things where Supernatural kind of predicts stuff. So I was a really, really big fan. I think it's really scary. There's a lot more in my notes, like a lot more, going back to 2013 in the US and some other American stuff, but I just don't have time to include any more Easter eggs. So we gotta hop back in, but there's tons there for you guys linked in my show notes.
That wasn't too bad for me to listen to.
Yeah. I did think there was gonna be more. Ew, no, why?
Yeah. I think it's because I just remember the 2016 stuff so much. I think I just kind of was like, I'm not just not engaging. I'm not just not going to engage with all of this. And I was kind of ignoring stuff. And then my brother would send me stuff and I'm like, stop. So yeah, so they've made this link to Mr. Cooper, which is just kind of carrying on the red herring that I mentioned about before. And now I'm thinking about it, actually, is it just a coincidence then that he did work for the other carnival as well? Because they don't
Yeah.
actually talk about that later. Okay. So yeah, so they're still watching this house. And I had a question. So did they just literally stalk this family and follow them home after the carnival?
100%. 100%. Like sometimes stalking is caring. Okay. If the Winchesters prove anything, it's that they have to stalk people in order to save them.
Well, yeah, I suppose they did it just so they could save them.
This is the one and only time where stalking is okay. So there's a balloon in the little girl's room as they're looking in from the outside, and I was like, suspicious to me. And then you see the clown, and the clown has the balloon, and I wrote again with the balloon. I was not happy. And then we cut to inside the family home. And so as the little girl is leading the clown down the hallway, Dean and Sam are hiding and waiting, weapons at the ready. And the little girl says, "Do you want to see mommy and daddy? They're upstairs." So Sam, who, by the way, is pale and shaking, but also brave and cute, leaps out, grabs the girl who starts screaming, and Dean shoots the clown in the chest. And it falls backwards and then gets up again, like not totally unfazed, but kind of unfazed by what he's shooting it with. And then Dean's cocking the shotgun again, and he's shouting, "Sam, watch out!" And the clown leaps out the window, turning invisible as it runs away, and the parents come rushing out.
Question.
Yeah.
How come they can see the clown now?
They're the Winchesters.
They couldn't see it at the carnival, and no adults can see the clown.
Well, so the adults can see the clown before they get eaten. So my thought process is that when it's in eating mode,
once it's inside the house,
it's there, it's real, everybody can see it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because I assume it has to be tangible to, murder people and eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what's so funny, so like Sam is being a human shield for this little girl, which is so cute, but also funny because he's terrified. And then it's like, oh, I wrote down Big Brother had to do it because Sammy is scared of clowns. And then I wrote awkward, lol. So, this is when the mom and the dad come in and are like, "Oh my God, what are you doing to my daughter? Who the hell are you? Get out of my house." And I was like, yeah, that's where the awkward lol.
Can you imagine from their point of view, they've just come down and they think these two men are breaking in the house and are like trying to, I don't know, kidnap their daughter or something.
Oh, 100%. But that's what makes it funny because we know that they're the good guys.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
At the end of this scene, though, the little girl says, "They shot my clown." And I was like, ew, that's creepy. My clown.
She's just a child, Laura.
No, it's just how it was scary. That bit was it was creepy. It's worth mentioning because I liked it. I liked it because it's creepy.
I found it so funny. You found it creepy, and I was just like, oh, wildly different reactions. So then we cut back in, and they've parked the minivan off the side of the road, and they are getting all their stuff out of it, and they're taking the plates off and covering up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just bet Dean just didn't want to drive the car anymore, but I think he then confirms that in the next thing he says.
Yeah. He says, "I don't want to take the chance. Besides, I hate this friggin' thing anyway." Because Sam's like, "Do you really think that they saw our plates?" And Dean's like, I don't care. I cannot be in this thing for another minute.
Dump the car.
Yeah. 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 So then they have a conversation, and Dean's like, there's no way that this is a spirit. That rock salt hit something solid. And Sam's like, yeah, a person or maybe a creature that can make itself invisible. And Dean says, yeah, and dresses up like a clown for kicks. Did it say anything in Dad's journal? And Sam goes, nope. And then he pulls out his cell phone, and Dean's like, who are you calling? And he says, maybe Ellen or that guy Ash will know something. Hey, do you think Dad and Ellen ever had a thing? And Dean goes, no way. And then
I
Sam
do.
said, well, then why didn't he tell us about her? And Dean goes, I don't know. Maybe they had some sort of falling out. And Sam goes, yeah, you ever notice that Dad had a falling out with just about everybody?
Yep.
And they share this moment. And then they
Do you
get into
think
an
they did?
argument. Yeah, I
Do you
do.
think they did? Because I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I agree. I think so.
Because she was so upset, like when she found out that he was dead.
Well, yeah, when you think about it, Mary's been dead for like 20 odd years. So
Yeah.
it tracks. It makes sense. Like he can still be wildly in love with Mary and also have a life,
Yeah,
kind
he's
of.
allowed to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Sam says, well, don't get all maudlin on me, man. And Dean says, what do you mean? And he says, I mean this strong silent thing of yours. It's crap. And Dean says, oh God. And Sam says, I'm over it. This isn't just anyone we're talking about. This is Dad. I know how you felt about the man. And Dean says, you know what? Back off, all right, just because I'm not caring and sharing like you want me to. Valid. And Sam says, no. That's not what this is about, Dean. I don't care how you deal with this, but you have to deal with it, man. Listen, I'm your brother, all right? I just want to make sure you're okay. And that was nice. And Dean says, dude, I'm okay. I'm okay? I swear, the next person who asks me if I'm okay, I'm going to start throwing punches. These are your issues. Quit dumping them on me. And I was like, that is exactly word for word what I would say and have said before. And Sam says, what are you talking about? And Dean says, I just think it's really interesting the sudden obedience you have to Dad. It's like, oh, what would Dad want me to do? Sam, you spent your entire life slugging it out with that man. I mean, hell, you picked a fight with him the last time you ever saw him. And now that he's dead, now you want to make it right? Well, I'm sorry, Sam, but you can't. It's too little, too late. And Sam goes, why are you saying this to me? And he's so hurt. And you just go,
yeah.
Emotional damage. And Dean says, because I want you to be honest with yourself about this. I'm dealing with Dad's death. Are you? And Sam looks so upset. And then he just says, I'm going to call Ellen.
Yeah. I get where they're both coming from. I thought it was a little bit harsh that Dean brought up the fact that the last thing he ever said to his dad was basically trying to start an argument. But I understand the rest of it, why he said the rest of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's all valid. Their reactions are valid. Grief is ugly.
Yeah.
People got to vent sometimes. What he says is true. Sometimes the truth hurts. So Sam hangs up the phone. He's obviously been speaking to Ellen. And he says, I'm going to try to say this. Rakshasa. And Dean says, what's that? And he says, Ellen's best guess. It's a race of ancient Hindu creatures. They appear in human form. They feed on human flesh. They can make themselves invisible, and they cannot enter a home without first being invited. And Dean says,
like
so
a
they dress
vampire.
up. Exactly. So they dress up like clowns, and the children invite them in. And they're like, yeah. So they now understand why this is happening. And in my notes, I have an image of what they look like. And they do kind of look like a scary demon clown, not going to lie. And the notes that I found actually really back up a lot of what's said in the episode about what they are. Like it's not wildly out of place. They are the bad guys in Hindu folklore as well, and they do eat people. So I thought that was pretty cool. So that was actually like kind of on the money.
Yeah.
I don't know about the whole living in squalor and sleeping on beds of dead insects. I'm not sure if that's just show lore, because the article didn't go that deep. But what I found, it lines up with, so I can give that a tick for
that's
lore.
Cool. They are good with the like actual real life references, aren't they?
They really are. Yeah, it's cool. It's fun.
I had one comment to make here about when he says dressing up as a clown means that the children will invite them in, and I was like, I'm sorry, but there is like 100 other things that could dress up as that would work better. Like I don't know, Elsa. Dress up as Elsa, you're going to get invited into someone's house by a child. Why a clown?
I mean, to be fair, this is like 2005, so there was no Elsa.
Well,
But
like, you know what I mean? That kind of like a Disney princess.
Yeah, I
or a
understand
Disney
what you're
character.
saying. I understand what you're saying. It's a valid point. So they basically work out that they feed every 20 or 30 years. And Dean says that makes sense because there's a carnival now, and then there's the Bunker Brothers in 81. And Sam says, right, there was probably more before that. And Dean says, hey, Sam, who do we know that worked both shows? And Sam says, Cooper. And Dean says, Cooper. And Sam says, you know that picture of his father? That looked just like him. And Dean says, you think maybe it was him? And Sam says, well, who knows how old he is? And Dean says, did Ellen say how to kill him? And Sam says, the legend goes, a dagger made of pure brass. And Dean is like, well, I think I know where to get one of those. And Sam says, well, before we go stabbing things into Cooper, we're going to want to make damn sure it's him. And Dean's like, oh, you're such a stickler for details, Sammy. And then they smile at each other, and he's like, all right, I'll round up the parade. You go and check if Cooper's got bed bugs. But that part made me laugh so hard because he's just like, oh, why won't you just let me murder people?
Because again, he doesn't think twice about just killing humans if there's a chance there could be a monster.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. I wrote down, lol, Dean is so happy to stab people just at all times.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, stabby, stabby. So it's exterior, nighttime, it's the carnival, and Sam picks the lock on Cooper's trailer and goes inside. Elsewhere, the blind man is leading Dean. So they're talking, and he says, well, I've got all kinds of knives. I don't know if I've got a brass one, though. And inside Cooper's trailer, Sam is making his way over to the mattress to check it, but the clown chair is there. And props painted over the eyes with white and then painted evil red slit eyes on it. So we get a really clear close-up of that as he is going in and he looks at it and he's like, ugh. And then he pulls himself together and he slits the mattress open and he's looking for bugs. But shotgun cocks in the background and he turns around and Cooper's there pointing the gun at him. And he says, what do you think you're doing? And then we cut to the blind man's trailer. It really annoys me that I have to keep saying that. Like, does he not have a name? Does he not have a name in this episode?
I don't think he does.
No, he doesn't have a name, does he? He's just the blind man. I don't know. It's kind of annoying.
Knife throwing guy?
The knife man. Yeah. So he leads Dean in and taps on the trunk with a cane and says, check the trunk. And he opens it and boom, there's the clown wig and it rattles because the bells are in it. And he's like, oh, fuck. And Dean goes, you. And the demon dude goes, me. And he drops the cane and he takes off the glasses and his eyes go from clouded over to normal looking eyes and then to fucking snake eyes with the Pennywise smile. But he does this thing where he looks like a combination between Pennywise and a ventriloquist dummy. And I've written down that I think that's why Laura hates it so much, because he looks like half like a ventriloquist dummy. Like his smile stretches up to his eyeballs. It's physically impossible. I took a picture of it.
I just hit my head on the microphone.
She flailed out so bad she almost knocked herself out. Amazing.
If you hear a sound, then it was me hitting the microphone.
It's just Laura headbutting it in a panic.
What is with the show and eyes? Seriously, eyes and now clowns as well. Why? And it's like his face kind of like melts a bit. It's like,
yep, it's terrifying. It's great.
Ugh.
So the only thing that I didn't like about this effect is when he goes invisible. That part looks kind of janky. But honestly, that whole scene is so scary. And then he starts throwing knives at Dean, and the next scene is so fucking funny because you just see Dean like really badly combat rolling, like as in like in fear for his life, out of the fucking trailer, going, all right. And I was like, it's the annoyance for me. It's like he's not even like fleeing for his life. Exactly. He's like annoyed about it, and it makes it so funny. It's literally brilliant.
I wrote the door opens, but he literally somersaults out of there and runs into Sam.
Yep. It's fucking great. So yeah, he runs into Sam and Sam goes, "Hey," and Dean goes, "Hey." And Sam goes, "So Cooper thinks I'm a peeping Tom, but it's not him." And Dean's like, "Yeah, so I gathered it's the blind guy. He's here somewhere." And Sam says, "Well, did you get the brass blades?" "No, no, it's just been one of those days." And that, with his whole attitude, you gotta watch the scene. It's so unbelievably funny. And then Sam says, "I got an idea. Come on." And they go into the demon clown fucking giant mouth funhouse. Um, and they get separated. And it's weird. It's like they get like magically separated because parts of
Yeah,
it
just
just
instant.
slam on them. Um, so Sam goes straight to the brass organ, which is such a fucking brilliant move. But he goes to grab it to break it off, and it's hot for no reason other than drama that I can discern. Like, why would a brass organ be hot? It makes no sense.
Why
Um,
would you also be able to break a solid brass pipe off an organ?
this is
Just saying.
another valid question, okay? It's like it's there for no other reason than to make him look super sexy because he's suffering and burning in his hands while he's somehow strong enough. Maybe he's using his non-existent powers that are there conveniently only when it's convenient to the plot. So he pulls this pipe out, and Dean realizes that the best thing that he can do in this situation is make the invisible visible because this demon dude is throwing knives at him, like hurling knives.
Mhm.
And we can't see him. So he's like, okay, let's not be filleted. And he luckily has the smoke machine thing, so he pulls on that and it fills it with smoke. And I was like, also luckily, the demon suddenly has stormtrooper syndrome because this whole time, like for I don't know however many hundreds of years that he's been posing as a knife throwing carny, he's amazing at throwing knives. But now, for no reason at all, he can't aim. So then they managed to see it because of the whole steam situation, and then Sam stabs it. And I wrote down this effect was as bad as Phantom Traveler. 0
Mhm.
stars. Because
I
like
was
he
like, would that have
stabs
even
it
worked?
and the blood comes like how did he know exactly where his heart was? Maybe he's using his powers. I say that sarcastically because they're just convenient to the plot, aren't they, at points? So he magically knows how to stab it in the heart while it's invisible. It's vaguely visible, but like not that accurate. Let's just be real. And then it gushes blood out of the pipe, and I was like, okay, some gore, but it's not great
Yeah.
gore. It looks like somebody is standing there with a straw blowing fake blood out of a
Yeah.
straw. Like it's not a good effect. And then
Yeah.
the visible to invisible thing is stupid, and then it's just like
Yeah.
fucking clothes on the floor with the brass pipe or some shit. There's not. It's so dumb. It's
Yeah.
I love you, Supernatural, but this was shit. This was shocking. This was such a bad effect. I was so sad.
This is the bit where I'm saying this was very rushed. This whole because they're like, oh well, now the clown's dead. That's it. And it was like
Yeah,
there was about 2 minutes of kind of action, and that was it, and it was over. And
it
it
was very
just felt very
anticlimactic.
rushed. It was very
Yeah,
rushed, and it was very like, oh, this is convenient. He's found a pipe. Oh, this is convenient. They've managed to make the invisible visible. Oh, and this is
yeah.
convenient because he just happens to hit him in the heart. And it's just like, oh,
It's too many things. It's just it's funny. It's still worth watching, but yeah,
yeah.
that whole sequence is hilariously bad. You should watch it just for laughs, guys. Just for laughs.
I think it is just because it's rushed though. Because if they'd taken a bit more time with it, they could have. If they'd
They
had
could
more
have
time,
made
like
it
earlier in the
so
episode,
gross and so
yeah,
scary. It could
yeah,
have been
it's just rushed.
great. That's why we're annoyed.
Mhm.
Again, it's Phantom Traveler all over again. It could have been amazing, but
Yeah.
they put 5 cents into those special effects. Okay,
Mhm.
so we go back to the Roadhouse Saloon and it's daytime, and Dean and Sam are sitting at the bar, and Ellen's serving up some beers, and she's saying, "You boys did a hell of a job. Your dad'd be proud." And Sam says, "Thanks." And Joe sits down on the other side of Dean and gives Sam a look. But like she looks at him for so long. It's kind of awkward. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, is she flirting with Sam to try to make Dean jealous at first? Because this is like and then Sam has these dimples. Like it takes him so long also to figure out what's going on. And
Yeah.
it's great. Like, this is so funny. It totally makes up for the scene earlier. And he goes, Sam says, oh yeah, I gotta go. And then there's such a long hesitation. Okay, because he draws a blank and he doesn't know what to say. And then he just goes over there.
It was good. I just
This is my favorite. This is my favorite scene in this whole episode. And then he just goes and lurks by the pool table. He doesn't even pretend to play pool. He doesn't go and talk to anyone else. He just stands in a corner by himself looking at the pool table.
I'd just written here, I'd put Joe comes over to Sam and Dean and stares at Sam until he gets the hint to piss off. It does take him so long. It's so funny.
Oh my god. Okay. So yeah. So he says, I'm gonna go over there right now. And he goes and and then Joe says, so, and then she clears her throat, and then Dean goes, so. And she says, am I gonna see you again? And he says, do you want to? And she says, I wouldn't hate it. Which is exactly how I flirt, by the way. I just like lowball everything. And Dean says, can I be honest with you? See, normally I'd be hitting on you so fast it'd make your head spin, but these days, I don't know. And Joe says, wrong place, wrong time. And she kind of points at her mom, and he goes, yeah. And she says, it's okay, I get it. And I feel like it's just like a nod to the complications of everything, like all the new information that they have and John passing. And the back door opens, and Ash comes in carrying the folder and his really interesting laptop that he's put together. That's like designed to show us that he's a hacker genius because all the wires are hanging out of it. And it's supposed to look souped up. And he says, where have you guys been? I've been waiting for you. And Sam says, we were working a job, Ash. Clowns? And Ash goes, clowns? What the? And he's clearly about to say, what the fuck? But they can't do that for censorship reasons. So Dean cuts him off and says, you got something for us, Ash? And I laughed so hard.
It was
because
funny.
the level of disgust when he says clowns, what the? That was a Laura reaction. Like Laura was like, yeah. So then he sets the laptop down on the table, and Sam asks if he managed to find the demon. And Ash says it's nowhere around, at least nowhere I can find, but this fugly bastard raises his head. I'll know. I mean, I'm on it like a divine on a dog dookie. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, but we're going to skip that. And Sam says, what do you mean? And Ash says, I mean, any of those signs or omens that appear anywhere in the world, my rig will go off like a fire alarm. And Dean reaches for the laptop to touch it, and he goes, do you mind? And then Ash gives him this look, and Dean pulls his hand back, and he says, what's up, man? And Sam says, Ash, where'd you learn to do all this? And Ash says, MIT, before I got bounced for fighting. And I'm dying because Ash is so skinny and so small too. Like, it makes sense, but also you gotta laugh about it. And Sam says MIT, and Ash is like, it's a school in Boston, because he assumes he doesn't know, and Sam's face is just a fucking picture. Like, Sam's having this moment of, is Ash smarter than me? It's great. And Dean goes, okay, give us a call as soon as you know something. And he says, CC, compadre, which is funny. Dean takes another drink of his beer and then puts it down. And Ash immediately grabs it and drinks out of it. And I'm like, Ash, are you flirting? Are you flirting with Dean? It's so funny. It's so funny. And so Dean and Sam head out the door, and Ellen says, hey, listen, if you boys need a place to stay, I've got a couple of beds out back. And Dean says, thanks, but no, there's something I gotta finish. And Ellen says, okay.
Right, this bit though, they were just going to leave without saying goodbye. They were just walking out without saying goodbye to like Ellen and Joe and whoever. I thought that was rude.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I don't know. I guess in their minds, they had the conversations they needed to have, and they were on to the next thing. But yeah. So it's the exterior. It's the junkyard, and Dean's working on the car again, and Sam's pacing, and he says, "You were right." And Dean says, "About what?" And Sam says, about me and Dad. I'm sorry the last time I was with him, I tried to pick a fight. I'm sorry that I spend most of my life angry at him. I mean, for all I know, he died thinking that I hate him. So you're right. What I'm doing right now, it's too little. It's too late. And then he looks like he's about to cry. And I was like, emotional damage. and there's a beat, and he says, "I miss him, man, and I feel guilty as hell, and I'm not all right, not at all." And then he starts kind of crying, and you just go, "Oh, Sam." And then he says, "But neither of are you. That much I know." And then he says, "I'll let you get back to work," and he leaves. And Dean is still and quiet, and then he picks up a crowbar and he starts smashing in the windows of the car, and then he starts slamming it into the trunk of Baby over and over and over and over until it falls to the ground. He looks where Sam's gone, and he's, like, on the verge of tears. Like, we can see that, like, this is his grief. He can't ever go home again, and so fixing Baby, it won't bring his dad back. And there's all this pent-up anger that he's had this whole episode, and he finally lets it out, and then that's the end of the episode.
Poor Baby. Because
Literally.
I understand the whole metaphor of it and why he smashed that Baby, but there was like so many other cars he could have taken his anger out on, literally around him.
Yeah. But it had to be her, though. It had to be her, because there's nothing as self-destructive or as raw or that would let us know how bad of a state of mind he's in, because he would never harm that car. That car means the world to him. And it's everything that he's feeling in one moment, and it's really beautiful, and it's really well acted. Like, Jensen Ackles in that scene, it deserves an Oscar, frankly. Like, it's perfect.
Yeah, so that was the end of the episode. No more clowns. Yay.
Laura's like, "Clowns out."
Unless
Never
there's any more
again.
clowns. There'll probably be more clowns, but hopefully not a whole episode.
You made it through. Looks like you made it. Okay. End of episode games.
Villain hot or not? No. Not clowns.
Oh, that was everything. Yeah, not hot.
No.
Next.
Episode scare rating.
I give it like a 7.5.
I surprisingly
it a
only
10?
gave it. No, I only gave it an 8.5 because it wasn't as scary as an episode as like Bloody Mary was, even though it was clowns, and it wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was going to be. But it was because it was kind of like the whole, like, it was rushed, so that took away some of the scare factor. The beginning bits where the clown going into the kids' houses, those bits were scary, but then towards the end I was like, oh, he's not scary, he's just stupid.
Yeah, I think if they'd stayed with their effects budget and they had taken their time and more of the episode was like the beginning, it would have been a solid 10.
Yeah.
There's no hotel in this episode at all, so we can skip that one.
The Roadhouse was kind of cool though.
The Roadhouse is sick. The Roadhouse is a 10 out of 10 on the dive scale, and it's cool. I like it. I'm here for the Roadhouse.
What was your favourite quote?
It's Sam going, "Oh yeah, I gotta go over there." Because that is so funny. So funny. Oh, I can't stop laughing. Even now, I'm still laughing. Oh, it's so good. It's amazing. What about you?
That was funny. I'm going to go with, "This is humiliating. I feel like a freaking soccer mum."
Yeah, the Losermobile is pretty great.
Favorite thirst trap?
Hold please, because I did write it down. Yeah, it's when Dean's working on Baby. He's standing there right at the beginning. T-shirt, arms are like hench, working on the car, and that's hot. That's my thirst trap. How about you?
Okay. Well, I was kind of too freaked out to notice any, but I thought either one of Dean's smirks, it's got to be, so probably the smirk that Dean makes when he makes Sam sit down on the clown chair.
Oh god, that's amazing. Yeah.
It could also be the smashing the car at the end, actually, but I'm going to go with the smirk.
Yeah. The smashing the car was too emotionally traumatic for me to find it hot, but I do get it.
It was too sad.
It's hot. He looks very sexy, but it hurts me in my feelings, so I can't find it to be a thirst trap. But I get it. I get it.
Who do you think the MVP is?
Ooh. Sam, because Sam realizes that he can rip apart that brass organ and stab it into that invisible creature man.
That was
I tried
stupid,
to say
though.
it as silly as that part was. I know, but it's because it's how the creature gets killed. So I feel like he has to be the MVP. Real talk, it would be Ellen and Joe for how they take down the Winchesters in like less than 2 seconds. That's so awesome.
See, I'd written down Ellen or Ash. So, but I think Ellen probably because, and she's the one that gave them the lore about what it might be as well.
True. Okay, I will settle on Ellen then. I think Ellen's our MVP.
I like it when the MVP's like not one of the main characters.
Yeah, that's always good fun. I don't know, it's cool, and it shows really good world building too. Yeah. Shall we say good night and goodbye to these lovely people?
Yes. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. We would be very grateful. And if you know someone who would enjoy it, please share.
You can find us on Instagram at the Witches of Letters podcast, or you can email us at thewitchesofletters@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay safe out there, have each other's backs, and always keep fighting.